How many more times, Toronto? How many more seasons must the faithful endure the crushing disappointment of a playoff exit, knowing deep down that something fundamental, something visceral, is still missing from this undeniably talented roster? We've seen the dazzling plays, the highlight reel goals, the individual brilliance that lights up the regular season. But when the calendar flips to April, when the stakes are at their absolute highest, a familiar, agonizing pattern emerges. The finesse fades, the skill is neutralized, and the Toronto Maple Leafs, time and again, find themselves outmuscled, outgritted, and ultimately out of the Stanley Cup contention. It's a question that haunts every true blue fan. Is there a price too high to finally acquire the sandpaper intangibles that transform a skilled team into a champion? For years, the narrative has been consistent, almost a broken record echoing through the halls of Scotiabank Arena. The Maple Leafs boast an embarrassment of offensive riches, a collection of forwards whose names alone strike fear into opposing goaltenders. Auston Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander. These are players who can fill the net with ease, orchestrate breathtaking offensive sequences, and dominate the score sheet. Yet, when the intensity ratchets up in the postseason, when every inch of ice is contested and every puck battle becomes a war, scoring alone simply isn't enough. Playoff hockey demands a different breed of warrior, players who embrace the physicality, who are willing to go to the dirty areas, and who can stare down adversity with an unyielding resolve. It demands grit, toughness, and a willingness to impose their will, not just with skill, but with sheer, unadulterated force. This isn't a criticism of talent. It's a stark realization of what it truly takes to hoist Lord Stanley's Cup. And now, a name has emerged from the shadows, a player who embodies everything the Maple Leafs have seemingly lacked. Jeff Hanna, a respected voice on NHL trade rumor, has ignited a firestorm of speculation by linking Toronto to a formidable 6 feet 4 inches, 240-pound defensive enforcer from their arch-rivals, the Montreal Canadiens, Arber Xhekaj. The very mention of his name sends a ripple through the hockey world. Xhekaj isn't just a defenseman, he's a force of nature, a player whose reputation precedes him. He's the kind of player who makes opponents check over their shoulders, who forces them to keep their heads up, and who brings a palpable sense of intimidation to the ice. Imagine the shift in dynamic, the psychological edge that such a presence would instantly provide. For years, the Maple Leafs have been perceived as a team that can be pushed around, a team that, despite its offensive firepower, can be bullied when the games truly matter. Xhekaj would shatter that perception. He is, without a doubt, one of the most feared players in the NHL, a man who has that dog in him, as the saying goes. His thunderous hits, his willingness to drop the gloves, and his unwavering commitment to protecting his teammates are qualities that resonate deeply in the crucible of playoff hockey. This isn't just about adding a body, it's about fundamentally altering the team's identity, injecting a much-needed dose of ferocity and unyielding determination. The potential acquisition of Arber Xhekaj isn't merely about adding a single attribute. It's a strategic move that could effectively kill two birds with one stone for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Firstly, and most obviously, it addresses the glaring need for toughness. The Maple Leafs have long been criticized for their lack of physical presence, a deficiency that becomes glaringly apparent when they face more rugged, playoff-tested opponents. Xhekaj provides that edge in spades. He's a deterrent, a protector, and a player who can swing the momentum of the game with a single, impactful hit or a well-timed intervention. His presence alone would make the Maple Leafs a significantly harder team to play against, instilling a fear factor that has been conspicuously absent in recent playoff campaigns. Secondly, and perhaps just as crucially, Xhekaj would immediately bolster the team's defensive depth. While the Maple Leafs have invested heavily in their top-tier offensive talent, the defensive core has often been an area where injuries or inconsistent play can expose vulnerabilities. A 6 feet 4 inches, 240-pound defenseman who can skate, hit, and contribute to the penalty kill is an invaluable asset. He provides a physical, shutdown presence on the blue line, allowing the more offensively inclined defensemen to focus on their strengths. In the grind of an 82-game season and the even more demanding environment of the playoffs, having multiple, reliable, tough defensemen is paramount. Xhekaj brings a unique blend of attributes that not only adds much-needed grit, but also provides a robust, reliable option on the back end, solidifying a crucial area of the roster. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the cost. Acquiring a player of Arber Xhekaj caliber, especially from a bitter divisional rival like the Montreal Canadiens, will not come cheap. The Canadiens, with their own burgeoning defensive depth, are in a position of strength. They know Xhekaj's value, and they certainly won't be doing the Maple Leafs any favors. Toronto would undoubtedly have to pay up and make it unequivocally worth the Habs' while. This isn't a minor transaction. It's a significant investment, likely involving high draft picks, promising prospects, or a combination of both. The emotional stakes alone for Montreal, trading a fan favorite to their most hated rival, would demand a premium. However, the Maple Leafs find themselves in a unique and urgent position. Their championship window, with their core players in their prime, is open right now. But as every seasoned hockey observer knows, that window won't be ajar forever. The time for cautious, incremental improvements has passed. Now is the moment for aggressive moves, for seizing the opportunity that stands before them. The pain of past playoff failures, the gnawing feeling that they are perpetually one piece away, demands a bold response. If Xhekaj is indeed that missing piece, if his presence can tip the scales and provide the intangible spark needed to push them over the top, then the cost, however steep, becomes a necessary gamble. The alternative is to continue down the same path, hoping that skill alone will eventually prevail, a hope that has been repeatedly dashed against the unforgiving rocks of playoff reality. From the Montreal Canadiens' perspective, while trading a player like Xhekaj to Toronto might sting emotionally for the fan base, there's a clear strategic calculation to be made. As the previous report highlighted, the Canadiens possess an enviable amount of defensive depth. With young, promising defensemen vying for spots, Xhekaj, despite his immense popularity and unique skill set, might find his ice time squeezed. The Canadiens have enough assets in the arsenal where they would at least consider moving Xhekaj for the right return. This isn't about giving him away. It's about maximizing the value of a player who, while beloved, might be more expendable given the team's overall roster construction. If Toronto is willing to pay a premium, perhaps a top prospect, a high draft pick, or a young, established forward who fits Montreal's rebuilding timeline, then it becomes a shrewd hockey trade for the Canadiens. They could use the acquired assets to further bolster other areas of their roster, perhaps acquiring that top six center they've been searching for, or adding more offensive firepower. It's a cold, calculated business decision, one that puts the long-term health and competitive balance of the Canadiens' roster ahead of sentimentality. While the optics of trading Xhekaj to the Leafs would be jarring, the potential for a significant return could be too enticing for Montreal's management to ignore, especially if it accelerates their own path to contention. The Toronto Maple Leafs stand at a crossroads. The talent is undeniable, the fan base is fervent, and the desire for a championship is a palpable, almost unbearable weight. The question is no longer if they need more grit, but how they will acquire it. The whispers of Arber Xhekaj joining the blue and white are more than just rumors. They represent a potential turning point, a strategic move that could finally address the Achilles heel of this talented team. The championship window is open, but it's not a permanent fixture. It demands bold action, aggressive decisions, and a willingness to pay the price for what truly matters: playoff success. Will the Maple Leafs seize this moment, make the difficult, yet potentially transformative, move to bring in a player who embodies the very essence of playoff toughness? The hockey world watches, waiting to see if Toronto is finally ready to buy the grit that could lead them to glory in 2026 and beyond. What are your thoughts on this potential blockbuster? Is Arber Xhekaj the missing piece that finally brings the Stanley Cup back to Toronto? Or is the price simply too high, even for a team desperate for playoff success? Let us know your take in the comments below. And if you're as gripped by this potential trade as we are, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for all the latest, most passionate hockey analysis.